Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
I'd like to call a meeting to order for the Bells Falls Union High School. Is there any adjustments to the agenda? I have one. I would like to add a 6C and have a WNESU report. Anyone else? Review and approve board minutes for January 11th. Does anybody have any changes they need on the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? David has that motion to approve the minutes. Second. Margot, will you second that? Thank you. There's a motion on the floor to approve the board minutes for January 11th. David Clark,
Aye.
Margot,
Aye.
Priscilla,
Aye.
Brenda,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Steve,
Yes.
Chris. Did I miss anybody, Chris? I
What?
think I got him.
You got Brenda, correct?
I did.
Yeah, you got everyone.
Okay. The minutes are approved. Communication and public comments.
I do not have anything in the chat right now.
Okay. There are no policies. We're down to principals report. Chris, you got the floor.
So I've got three topics to bring to your attention. First, just want to let you know that the HVAC report has not been forgotten. It is not yet ready for public consumption. And I say that because typically in these kinds of assessments, and I say these kinds, it happens also when we do our NEAC stuff. The people that come in and gather the information like to then pull together their draft of report and then talk with the folks at the school to make sure they've got their facts right. And we have gotten through that part of it. And then to go back and revise a few things because not all of their facts were right in terms of the operations of the system. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. Hopefully by the next time we meet, we can hit the details of the report. But again, knowing that one of the primary purposes of this investigation, this project, was to assess the health and well-being of the air relative to COVID. What I will share with you is that after we took our hour and a half or so, Jim and I and the folks from ME Engineering to go over their draft, I needed to get a really basic sense for their assessment of the air in the building. And so I asked the two that we were talking with, based strictly on the quality of the air and the COVID-19 safety, would you send your students here, your own kids? And they said, absolutely. So that's the upside. They did spend a lot of time going into the details of the system beyond COVID-19. And so that's part of what is being addressed. But I will also say that in the time that they spent in the building, they were also impressed with just our overall approach to COVID-19 safety. So they commented on that as well. So that's what I've got so far, but that left me feeling somewhat comforted in the information that I had so far. Any questions on that little snippet? Okay. So the last meeting, or the last couple of meetings, the board authorized us to move to 4 days of in-person instruction sometime between the end of the February break, and this is the week before February break, and next week will be on February break. Sometime between the end of February break and the beginning of the fourth quarter. based upon a wide range of things that we assessed, of course, not the least of which is the current state of COVID-19 within the state and locally. It is our current plan to move to 4 days of in-person instruction the second week after we get back. My experience with these kinds of transitions is that they aren't always smooth if you do them right after a week's vacation. And additionally, the second week after we get back is a slightly shorter week. Those are also better times to do transition. It's the week that we have town meeting day off. So all of those things considered and other things considered, that's what we are targeting for 4 days of everyone back in the building, not including those folks who have already been approved for a fully remote semester. So questions there?
Chris, do you have some folks that have just decided they want to be remote, or?
Oh yeah, we've got about 30 students who are full remote, thereabouts, last time I checked. So, but it's not just about us being accommodating. We are a very accommodating bunch, but for most of those programs, they are really not designed to be done in the building. You know, they involve some VTVLC classes, some other online instruction. And so it doesn't really make any sense to make any kind of transition for those folks back into the building.
Mm-hmm. Margot?
So when you say fully remote, is that the students who are in the VCL, those initials?
So they have VTVLC classes. VTVLC has established at the beginning of the year this program for fully remote, but our approach to that was not to enroll students in their program. It was more to enroll them in individual VTVLC classes and other online options in more of a buffet style, a menu style, instead of just sending them all to VTVLC and we'll see you when they're done. We still maintain kind of an active oversight of their education and haven't really just handed them off to VTVLC. But I would say there's probably not a single one of those kids that doesn't have at least one or more VTVLC classes. And for those of you that are not familiar with the lingo, that's Vermont Virtual Learning Collaborative, and that is Vermont's online high school, which existed for 10 to 15 years prior to COVID. This wasn't like created with COVID in mind. It's been expanded with COVID in mind, but most states have some form of an online high school, and that's Vermont's version of that.
Priscilla?
Why are you planning 4 days rather than 5 when a lot of schools are going to 5 at this point? And is there some advantage to only doing the 4 with your regular schedules? I just want you to.
Sure, that's a really good question because
and if there's a plan in the future.
Right. So when we were looking to expand in-person instruction in the building about November, we first started talking about, well, let's bring kids back on that remote day. In other words, so we were focused on that to begin with. But after we had a good staff dialogue and surveyed the staff on this, it was recognized that that Wednesday remote day does a lot of things and some of those things can't be done in person. So one of the things it does is it keeps us in our practice of remote instruction. So to have one of those days, there's some merit to that. But more importantly, because of the way we have to schedule the students, we aren't able to schedule our Terrier time. And our Terrier time was our time at the very end of the day for extra help. And so there are some limitations on what we've been able to do for extra help. And we've recognized that that remote day gives us a lot of flexibility to work a little bit more individually with students who might be in need of extra help. So those are a couple of the reasons for that. But having said that, I could see us potentially, after we get ourselves comfortable with the 4 days of in-person, then revisit that conversation about, so how useful and how necessary is that day as a remote day? And do we want to make that an in-person day. So you might want to call it baby steps, getting ourselves there, maybe a big step and then a baby step. But that's something that we're going to take a look at once we have 4 days of in-person instruction under our belt.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else on that?
I'm not seeing anything else, Chris.
All right, my last topic is finally we've got to the place where we can actually play some basketball games. So the state of Vermont made that decision. What are we? This is Monday, so it would have been Friday's press conference, I think. And they have made that opportunity available as of this coming Friday. We hope to be sending the boys basketball team to Brattleboro for that day. The reason I say that is one of the limitations that we have is you can't play more than 2 games in a week. We have a game. That game for Friday was not originally scheduled. So if we play Friday, we'll be playing the boys Friday, Monday, and Thursday. And so what we want to find out is, are they talking a 7-day week, or are they talking like you can play Friday and then you can play 2 more the next 2 days? So hopefully we'll be able to have them play. If not, then our first team that will be playing will be the girls basketball team going to Brattleboro on Saturday. And then we'll have a home game on Monday. And again, just as a reminder, those limitations include no fans in the stands. So it's going to be really interesting to be at a basketball game and hear predominantly the players talking, the squeaking of the shoes, and the bouncing of the basketball. So that'll be different, but we are all set up for streaming. We practiced our new streaming system and our collaboration with Fact TV a couple of weeks ago, and used that to tweak it a little bit, but I think we're going to be able to take the show online, you might say, come Monday. So,
Chris, can you tell us how to get onto that?
I can't right now, but we will get that word out. I suspect the easiest way is going to be to access Fact TV online. That's what I think is. So when we practiced it, we actually created a list of ways. We expect that you're going to be able to access it on the BFUHS website, and we expect that you're going to be able to access it on Fact TV. And there were maybe 1 or 2 other ways to access it. And what we did was we did a girls basketball scrimmage, and we sent that information out just to the families because this was a test bed for us. We didn't really want the whole world trying to we needed it in a controlled way. And so we got to play with it a little bit that way, but we will absolutely get the word out to the general public. And this whole season, there will not be pay-per-view. It's going to be free. It's always going to be free, but so unless we get really good, and then maybe we charge people for it. But anyhow, we will get the word out to folks on how to access that. But if I don't get back to you, Fact TV, Monday evening, you should be able to get onto that.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Flora, I think it's all you now. Finance.
Hi. So I did send out today the audit draft that we got from the auditors. So I am still waiting on the management letter that is gonna have the best practices and items that they found, and as well as the recommendations as what we need to review, and that as well we'll be addressing how to help to make the district better. So once I get that out, then maybe we could just review at the next meeting we have. I'm still waiting for them to give us Union Elementary, which will be the last district pending that they have. So I guess once they finish with the Union Elementary, then they'll just give management letters for all of the schools. Other than that, we've been working on everything that has to do with taxes, submitting information and documents to the state, submitting our drafts as well to the state, and different aspects of payroll, organizing benefits as well, the changes for the new year, the W-2s. So everything that is revolving the financial right now is taxes for us.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Flora? Go ahead, David.
Not a question, simply thank you for the great work.
Thank you. I do have, I'm waiting on the last document that the auditors need to give us for the Union Elementary, and then I will be contacting you, David, because you need to sign up for some documents so we can submit to the bond bag. Just take advantage of it. But I'll be contacting you once we get the last draft that we need to submit for bond bank. But
I think you got off, whoop, I was gonna say you got off really easy for her, but go ahead, Priscilla.
Yeah, it hasn't been, but I had thought these were going to be done in the fall, so I know this is not, you know, Flora's fault, but if we could encourage them to maybe speed things up a little bit in the future, it would be really helpful, because we really need those before we do our budgets, not after we've done our budgets. And to make sure that everything is audited, and so that Flora is comfortable in all of that. It's not just us that needs it, but Flora needs it as well. So encourage them to maybe think about, and especially next year going into it, books should be closed earlier, and then the audit thing should be done, I would say no later than October, so that we have a chance to have a really informed session or budget.
so the issue with the audit was they were supposed to start the audit for us actually the first week of November, but they had a positive COVID case in their team. So they had to put everything on hold. They had to quarantine. We were supposed to get 4 of them to come in and audit us. We end up only getting 2 of them. They were supposed to be with us at least a full week, but because of everything that was going on with COVID and their team, they actually had to split their time between us and another district. So it's just, it hasn't been a normal year, I guess, for anybody. And honestly, after they mentioned the whole COVID case, we all were really skeptical. We kept them downstairs in Chris' office. But they've done pretty well. They did mention that this year their audit was actually, they finished it sooner than what they have done in previous year. So at least that is good. And we did mention to them already that hopefully we could start this following audit sooner than the one that we just had. But as well in the business office, you know, we have a different team. We are more organized. We know already what their need. It was a challenge as well to start looking into somebody else's work, gathering information for them, especially because the previous year, everything was a challenge. They couldn't get all the documents they needed. Things were missing. So honestly, we did amazing picking up everybody else's pieces. Hopefully the following audit actually will be a better transition as us having already everything that they want. You know, we are saving already files. We're going paperless in the office. We're scanning a lot of documents, everything for employees, you know, we're scanning those ones as well. So it will be an easier audit, you know, having everything uploaded already instead of, you know, trying to look into somebody else's files to put all that information together. A lot of the accounts that we had was split, you know, in different banks instead of having everything under just one entity. You know, that's something that we consolidated as well. That was mentioned in previous audits, but it wasn't taken care of. So we did that as well. So like getting, for example, bank statements, instead of having 2 to 3 different banks, now we just have 1 or 2. Same thing, you know, with student activities, accounts information, putting a lot of things together for them. You know, now we have 1 person that will be dedicated to that process as well to simplify it for next year. So it was a lot. COVID, new staff, trying to, you know, gather information. So, but even with all those challenges, you know, we at least accomplished the fact that at this point, they're just missing Union Elementary, which it should be done by next week, hopefully.
It strikes again.
Chris Pratt, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you, Molly. I just wanted to add that, we, early on, we asked the auditors, when we get started on this next round of audits, I proposed to them that I'd like to have the audits done starting July 1, after July 1. There's no reason to do audits the same time we're trying to get budgets done. So we're really going to push to see if we can get audits done in the summertime. So by the time budget rolls around, all the stuff that goes with audits and all the work that is tied to it isn't going to interfere with our budgets, and we have the information we need to make better decisions.
Any other questions for Flora? Flora, are you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to go to the WNESU report. David?
Thanks, Molly. The WNESU report, I have to say we had another pretty interesting meeting. I'm not going to go into the boilerplate. I would encourage people to show up for that. But two things I will touch on very briefly is we did also have the auditors beginning with Mr. Smith from RHR Smith in at that meeting, along with Miranda, who I think is your direct contact on that, I believe, Flora. And the other item is that we have a lease on new premises, and I want to turn it over to Molly because it's Molly who really did the legwork to make this happen. And I would imagine that there are at least two administrators here tonight who are over the moon about that, as the saying sometimes goes.
Thank you, David. I'm pretty excited just to know that everyone's going to have a really nice place to work. Chris sent out an announcement, but just for anybody that's getting any questions, it's out in the open now. We've signed the lease. We are going to move the offices to the old accounting office in Westminster. It used to be Spalding and Madden, right past the post office. Beautiful place. I haven't been over. The owners are begging me to come over before we get moved in so they can show me everything they've done, because they're pretty happy about, us going in there and knowing that they've got good tenants, and we had some things we wanted to do and there was no problem. They've put new windows in and new carpeting in and painted and cleaned, and when we went in there, we thought it was pretty nice just the way it was. So, but they've made it really nice for the SU office to move in there and just be in a really easily to work in. You're able to see all the offices. You're not, in 3 different floors and down hallways. It's a pretty nice place. I've been on these boards for a long time. We've talked about finding a different place. And when I finally figured out that this place was probably something we could get, I was pretty excited that it worked out for everybody. Chris Pratt or David, go ahead. You get hand up.
I'll yield to Superintendent Pratt.
Oh, thank you, David. Thank you, Molly. Yeah, the central office is really excited about moving. It's we're glad we're not doing it during audit and budget season. But every day we're working a little bit more on it just to bring everybody up to speed. As of today, the movers will start moving us next week on Tuesday, I think. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have that time. We're not anticipating that there's going to be any disruption to the regular flow of work because we are doing it over the February break. Like I said, the night that we were asking the board to approve this lease is that we have ESSA grant money that we're using to pay for our moving costs and some of the other stuff that goes along with it, because we are moving to a building that has actually, a ventilation system, which we don't currently have now in the current space. So we're very excited about the move. We appreciate the board approving it. And we look forward to when COVID is over so we can get people in there to really take a look at the space. I'll take some pictures once we're all moved in to show everyone and share everyone, maybe just do a virtual walkthrough. But Molly's right. They've done a lot of work. They've repainted and touched up all the walls in both of the buildings, the main building and the smaller building. They put in a new bathroom in the smaller building, new carpets. They pretty much recarpeted the whole entire main office building. Paint, they put, rearranged some locks on the doors. They've done a lot of work. It looks fantastic, and we're looking forward to getting in there.
David?
I just want to make it abundantly clear, if it weren't for that old farm girl, Molly Bannock, taking the bull by the horns on this, we wouldn't be doing this now. I cannot, I hate to do this to you, Molly, but I really have to point out, if it hadn't been for Molly's perseverance, we'd still be looking and talking and not doing much, but that's why it happened.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? Okay. So, where we at? Any unfinished business?
Well, Flora had her hand up for a
Oh,
question.
Flora? Yes, Flora.
So just to let you guys know, on the moving dates, I will have my staff available if you guys need anything for the anybody in the SU. It's my cell phone is there as well, so you could contact my cell phone, and any of my staff will be answering the any calls that you guys need, and we will be still connected remote. So we just split the office, so that way our office wouldn't have any impact, and you guys could go through and anything contact, even if it is Chris that you guys need and he's not available, you could just let any of my staff know, and we'll be able to reach anybody.
Thank you. I don't think there's any unfinished business. We have new business. And we've already done this once, but shame on me, we didn't have a quorum. So Chris, would you like to speak to new
Actually,
business?
no. Yeah, this is actually new. The one we did before was last year's $2,500
I wondered
donation,
what,
which was you as a board decided for all the right reasons that money should go to the Booster Club. So that was last year's
okay.
check.
So this is a new one.
This is a new one. Yes.
Perfect.
So, and I'll read the letter. And by the way, for those of you that are wondering, you have a policy that says if we have a donation greater than $1,000, that you folks have to accept it officially through a board action. There's a very brief letter that goes along with this. It's from Salman and Nostran. Dear Chris, our office represents Vermont Ben Wynn Charities Incorporated. Enclosed, please find our client's check in the amount of $5,000 payable to the Bellows Falls Union High School, representing its contribution in support of sports activities. And it's signed by your friend and mine, former board member and soccer coach, Larry G. Slason. So, so what we would need is a board motion. I will say, by the way, that in the past, I have asked the board to set this aside in a reserve fund so that we can use it in future years if necessary. But we already have a target for this, what I like to call the new scoreboard, and it's new because it went up when I started coaching, and so that was a long time ago, but died on us. And we got 20 years of good use out of that scoreboard for baseball, and we need to replace that. So that's our plan for the use of this money for this year, is to get a new baseball scoreboard. So yes, it would take a board motion to accept those funds.
Margot, I think you just made that motion.
I did. And can I just add a thank you to the Ben Wynn Charities as part of that
Thank
for their
you.
generous gift?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Priscilla. There's a motion to accept the $5,000 from Win Ben Charities. Is there any discussion? Okay, David, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve? Has he left me?
Aye.
Thank you. Deb?
Aye.
Priscilla?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
And Margot?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's
Thank you.
passed. We do not have an executive session. Director's comments. David?
I have two comments, Molly. First comment is that every February, an event rolls around. I think this year it's on Valentine's Day. Is that possible? Which is the closing for the offer of limited high school choice. We typically have an out migration that goes to Green Mountain for some Grafton kids, and Athens kids tend to go to Leland and Gray. I do think that we need to let the community know that these opportunities are available, even though the best opportunity of all is right here at Bellows Falls Union High School. And it's not so much that item that I'm actually bringing up here, Molly. It's that I'd like to point out that there are, perhaps at some point, we will start generating an annual calendar for the WNESU. So stuff like this can be addressed in what I would refer to as timely fashion. It's my first item, Molly. My second item is that even though there are at least two members of this board who I told we were going to close the superintendent's evaluation a week ago, that's not the case. As of last Thursday, I had a total of 4 responses. I have now 12. All Rockingham board has responded, which I appreciate. And it's my intent to try to round up the stragglers and get their evaluation. And I'm one of them, okay? But I intend to round up the stragglers, try to get 100% participation. I've asked Lynn Carey to see if we can get an executive committee meeting going either for next Wednesday or for the Tuesday immediately preceding the WNESU meeting. She'll get out a doodle poll on that. So the executive committee can just do a quick check over and be prepared to transmit those results at the WNESU meeting, which is on the 24th, I believe. And once again, I appreciate the opportunity, Molly. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
I got nothing.
Deb?
Yes, I was going to just remind people we have the Bellows Falls Union High School annual meeting is what, February 24th?
Yes.
And I believe that's what it says, at least on the town website. And David just mentioned that as an SU meeting. I don't know. I hope not. I suppose if we don't overlap. But just reminding of that.
WNSU will stand down in favor of the high school, Deb. Thanks for pointing that out.
Okay.
Scramble.
And again, thank you, Molly, for all of your hard work and getting us into a new, better space. Thanks.
Thank you. David, sometimes we have the SU meeting before the annual meeting. If we do need that, we've done that in the past.
Thanks, Molly. I would actually like to get with Chris and Lynn and you on that, because you're absolutely correct. We have done that in the past. And I need to get particularly with Chris to see how much time we're going to need. We'll try and just do the important work and save the rest of it for the future.
Okay. Priscilla?
Yeah, I'm all set. I agree. We've done it together. In fact, last year we had to adjourn till after the high school meeting and then come back for the WNESU meeting in executive session to finish our executive and then go back and adjourn. So we did hold both, I know, last year. So it'll work. Either way, whatever works. We're in that COVID mess, so who knows what'll work this year.
Brenda? Brenda? Any comments?
I just want you too, Molly, for your work for that. I compliment the resilience of the administration and the staff with all the challenges that have been this year. I think that it just in the reports and all, even with the auditor reports and things that it shows that there's been some hard work done.
I lost you. Okay, Margot, you're up.
Yeah,
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. We are all set. We're gonna call the meeting adjourned. And I don't have a date for the next meeting because I guess Chris will have to let us know if we need something on the 22nd or not. Thank you very much. Good night.